Department, as we recently adopted a new collective bargaining agreement that increases the pay to be competitive with area departments. We'll have to absorb those increases. We do still continue to have vacant positions despite those increases, so I think the staffing market is challenging in that area, and we'll do our best to continue to recruit and be competitive there. And then the transfer station, one of the things I've recognized in the last year in working with transfer station staff is originally that facility and the staff was designed for a community of about 5,000 people, and we're approaching 10,000 at about almost 9,000 people, and so they're dealing with a lot more volume over the years, and so that is something that we recognize as a staffing challenge, and so I'll be looking to upgrade some of the part-time positions to full-time, which makes it a little bit more less challenging for the budget. So we'll be working to include that as part of budgets. And then we have some capital expenses that we'll be considering. And back in 2018, the town did a large bond to purchase a lot of public works equipment, and so some of that equipment is approaching its useful life, and so we have to work to develop a replacement schedule that doesn't have those being replaced all at once, like they were replaced all at once in 2018. So we're going to look to include 1 or 2 replacements in the upcoming budget as the budget allows. And then we have fuel tanks at the Public Works Garage. We recently replaced the fuel pumps using American Rescue Plan Act funding, and the fuel tanks have reached their useful life, and we have a report from our fuel tank provider and the DEP about the needs for that replacement. So we'll be looking to include that project. And then facilities improvements, we want to continue to maintain the beautiful facilities that the town's invested in and ensure that they continue to last the residents for years to come. And so our facilities staff does an outstanding job to keep up on things. And so we have some few facilities projects, much of which continues on some of the things we've done in other facilities that we're getting to the next facility that needs the updated security system or things of that nature. So we have those challenges ahead with capital. And so some opportunities that we have, I'll take out of order real quick as a result of the retirement of our planning director. I propose to eliminate that position and consolidate, have a consolidated code enforcement and planning department. That I'll be proposing as part of the budget. Right now, our code enforcement officer and code enforcement director, Tammy Munson, has been serving as the interim director for both departments, while Doug remains here part-time working on projects to help transition into retirement, where we're grateful for his service to that. He's primarily working on the new zoning as part of the comprehensive plan, and so we're grateful that he's able to continue that work. And then we have a number of one-time expenses from fiscal year 25 that we'll look to eliminate. We had some document digitization in our planning and code department, and then we also had the revaluation program as part of our work to organize the finances. We were able to find some of the funds that were set aside in years past, so we'll have some of those to offset the spending for that project, but we won't have to fund that project since that project was completed this past fiscal year, so we'll be able to cut that. And there's a few other one-time expenses that will be eliminated, which help us to manage budget. And then in other opportunities, we continue to see steady community growth. We're hoping for valuation growth as we get closer to submitting the budget, as new homes and businesses come to the community, and we continue to see that growth, and the assessor works hard to aggregate all that information so we have as much information at budget time as possible, knowing that a lot of that information will become finalized when the assessor performs the tax commitment. The other thing I had mentioned to the council last year was potential bond refinancing. The project that the council and the community adopted for the wastewater septic system project here at the Pennell Complex, as well as some renovations to the Manual Arts building. those improvements were bonded over a 5-year period. And typically, improvements that have a useful life of excess of 20, 30 years, and that those do have a useful life in excess of those, you'd want to spread those costs over a number of fiscal year budgets. So we'll see where the budget ends up and whether or not that's absolutely necessary to help us absorb the budget challenges that we have. And so we'll work on putting forth a plan with that. And then, in addition to the elimination of the planning director position, we also recently eliminated the town engineer and project manager position. That was a position that was created as part of last year's budget that we thought we would have enough work for. And as it turned out, we didn't quite have enough work for that position to justify continuing that position going forward. So a number of those duties, engineering specific, will continue to be outsourced as they have been and have continued to have been during the transition, and we have appropriate funds budgeted for that. And then some of our project management and lead stuff that position oversaw will be delegated to our economic development director. And so we're confident that we can survive without that position for this budget and hopefully budgets in the future. And then we also have, continued partnerships with North Yarmouth. I've heard from the town of Yarmouth's town manager that they wish to continue our relationship that we have with code enforcement. And so that provides us revenues with minimal impact into our operations. And so we're hopeful that, and our also recent partnership with New Gloucester regarding our media coordination will help us all to continue to best manage our budgets. So then I wanted to cover a few goals. The town council priorities we hope to continue to support as part of this budget, which include the village transformation project, getting our financial house in order, increased commercial revenues that we hope to do with some of our economic development efforts, as well as housing, limited tax increases, and the continued exploration of a wastewater system for the community. And so we're able to develop a budget that helps us to continue to work and achieve those goals. The goal for me to bring to you, the town council, will be to have a minimal municipal tax increase in the budget for all the reasons that I've kind of outlined, primarily surrounding our revaluation and our desire to best use taxpayer resources as efficiently as possible. And our goal is to hopefully during fiscal year 26 catch up on all of our municipal audits. We're hopeful that our fiscal year 23 audit will be done in the coming weeks and months. Our auditor has had ebbs and flows of time to be able to work on that with other projects that they have, and then hopefully we'll start our fiscal year 24 audit this spring and have hopefully complete that in the summer, and then be in a place where we can start working on our fiscal year 25 audit and hopefully have that completed in an appropriate time frame as outlined in the charter, or shortly after that time frame. And so we also, our goal is to continue to promote community growth through business retention and expansion with our economic development department. Our director, Denise Clavette, is working hard to connect with the business community and best support them here in town. And so we will definitely, as part of those efforts, see businesses continue to thrive here in the community and potentially expand. We also hope to complete the comprehensive plan zoning process as part of the budget and transition with Doug. He's been willing to be a resource to us in the years ahead, and so we'll be budgeting some funds for some consulting from him during that time frame, and as well as our efforts to complete the zoning process. Right now, we're working on the zoning outside of the village, and so we'll have some efforts as part of zoning in the village. And then we hope to have improved property tax collections. One of the items that hasn't been completely tackled in my first year is being able to meet with property owners who have unpaid property taxes and personal property taxes to be able to work on developing payment plans and collections. As we continue with our finance department reorganization, we'll be able to have more resources to be able to do that, and hopefully get a lot of the unpaid property taxes caught up and ensure that those properties stay in the hands of their owners. If they don't, we will have to go through an exercise to deal with properties that the town may or may not foreclose on, and that'll be something that we tackle in the year ahead. So I just wanted to throw out some quick forecasts. Should there be hypotheticals associated with the budget? So the current municipal budget is $13,403,011. The current municipal tax rate is $2.94. And the current combined tax rate with municipal, school, and county is $9.70. With a hypothetical 3% increase to the municipal budget, that would result in a $402,090 increase, which would bring the total municipal budget to $13,805,000. And that would result in an estimated municipal tax rate of $2.99, or a 4-cent increase, or 1.52%. So that's just a hypothetical. My goal will be to, best manage the resources as best as possible and maybe be under the 3% spending increase. And this analysis outlines no increase in municipal non-property tax revenues. So this is a, not seeing, with some of the challenges that I've outlined, not seeing any increase in revenues as we have seen in years past. So that is very conservative figures, and so if we are to see any growth in some of our non-property tax revenues and growth in valuation, we can definitely have a more positive impact on those figures while also continuing to meet the needs of the town. And I use that same hypothetical with the school department, which developed an estimated combined tax rate of $10.24 or 54 cents or 5.58%. And ideally, because the school department budget is the largest portion of our budget, a lot of the increase that would happen would come through to the school department should they have a similar increase. So those are just hypotheticals. I just wanted people to see if we had a 3% spending increase and there was no change in revenues, that this is what something would look like. And I just wanted to let everyone know about the budget review schedule. Today is our first part, which is the public input session. I hope to deliver the budget to the town council and the public as part of the council packet and posting on the website on March 6th. The town council has workshops, budget review workshops scheduled, with a budget presentation and department review on March 11th. That begins at 5:30. And then on March 18th, we'll have the county government is going to be joining us to let us know about their challenges that they're facing in the budget. That was something the chair and I had worked on. And then we'll have some more department presentations. We'll review our capital improvement program, as well as revenues and debt. And so that meeting, again, is on March 18th at 5:30. And then we have scheduled the town council meeting of April 1st at 7 p.m. We have the school department's going to be providing us a budget update. The interim superintendent will be providing us that update. And then we'll have a public hearing of the draft budget warrants at the April 1st meeting, and then hopefully approval of the annual budget warrants at our April 15th town council meeting at 7 p.m. And then from April 15th until June, we'll work to continue to educate the public about the municipal budget and the budget warrants, with a referendum town meeting that takes place on June 10th, which is election day, where there'll be, in addition to other elected office for the town, it'll also be the school budget validation referendum. And so that is all I had for the budget as we set out. One of the other things I just wanted to quickly touch on, we do have our new ClearGov software that will be, we're all learning it together, and we'll be unveiling that as part of the budget. That will hopefully result in a more transparent and participatory budget process with members of the community. So we're excited to have that tool that people can see. And that's all I had, Mr. Chair.
Terrific, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We put Michael's presentation first just to give everybody a chance to hear it, but the main purpose of today's workshop is to give people an opportunity to speak. Is there somebody present who would like to speak about the budget at this time? Any questions or comments are welcome. The more information we get up front, the better the product we end up producing. So, one of the things I wondered about as I was listening to your presentation and the possible increases, the county government isn't a large portion of our overall budget. But you know, finding out what a 6 to 8% increase in the county side of it too would also, I think, be helpful.
Yeah, hopefully in the coming weeks before we present the budget, we'll have a more certain figure from our county government, and we'll be able to lock that in. Even though it's not a large portion, it does affect the tax rate.
Yep.
And so we take that into account as part of our calculations, but hopefully it'll be minimal. One of the recent changes that I just learned in a meeting with the county manager is the jail had seen decline in outside prisoner revenue at the jail, and that has increased. And so they're seeing what that trend is going to be in the weeks ahead, and that may or may not provide them with some revenue to help offset their increase. So fingers crossed it might be less than the 6%, but at least if it's closer to the 6, that's better than 8.
I'll go around and start. Ann, do you have any questions or comments?
I don't think so, not at this time. No.
Okay. Krista?
Yeah, I had a couple things bubble up. One, you mentioned we had a contract with Cumberland County Sheriff for 2 officers, but do we still have access to the school resource officer in the summer, which would make that more like a 2.5?
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't mention that. Yeah, for about 8 weeks or so in the summer, we have access to the school resource officer, and their schedule gets adjusted to patrol during the day, the Monday through Friday time frame, just like the school hours.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious if that was still something we were utilizing. And then, are we still doing bulk purchasing through GP Cog for salt and sand?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's a number of categories that we participate. Sometimes we can get better pricing from various vendors, but we typically participate in the salt one for certain.
Okay, so the sand is not, because I know that
Sand is not one that they do.
Okay, I thought
Yeah,
they
for
did.
some reason.
It varies from, like, sometimes it's more cost effective for us to participate, like with striping with
Yeah.
the state, and sometimes that doesn't work out.
Right. Okay. Yeah. When you were mentioning that the Portland sand and gravel being sold, I was wondering.
Yeah, I think the sand one typically is like kind of a location-based challenge, because we use a lot more sand than we do salt, and the salt is delivered, whereas the sand, we have to
we go
haul
get
it and deliver it. And so that's it just ultimately, if we don't haul it, it increases the cost significantly, and if it's not close by, it increases the cost and the time.
Got it. Okay. And then just one other thing. In the positions that we've eliminated, will those be effective as part of the FY26 budget, or have those positions, I know Doug is retiring in June, but the other position that you're eliminating, has that already been?
Yes, yeah, that position has been eliminated, yeah. And the one for Doug is at the end of the fiscal year. He's retiring.
Right, I'm aware of that, yeah. Okay. Those were just ones that came to mind as I was listening.
Levi?
Yeah, the only thing I had to say was just wanted to confirm that federal funding drawdown requests are reopened currently, so.
Okay. Mike?
Yes, yeah, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, we still don't have any voice from you.
Chris, is that anything we're able to mess with to get the Zoom audio is not coming over the audio here? If you could turn it up on the board, maybe. Mike, can you talk now?
Can you hear me?
No?
No.
Do you want to, if you want to put your questions in chat, we can see those. Okay. While you're listing your questions, I've got a couple I'll just run with. I wondered if there is any consideration for doing an RFP for propane, just on the chance that there might be someone else out there who is willing to be more competitive. I know, Irving's been a good vendor, but, costs being what they are.
I asked that same question of our staff, and we have all the equipment that was installed by Irving.
Yeah.
And so we would have to make a transition of equipment, which would result in a significant cost.
Yeah,
So that is one challenge. We can certainly price it out and see if that's worthwhile.
yeah.
But it definitely would have a cost and potential disruption.
It certainly wouldn't hurt to find out, yeah, for sure. The other thought was when we built the solar array on the landfill, we were at the time by state law restricted from building as large an array as we could have on that particular site. Given the cost of electricity and the changes I know that have come about in state statutes since then, it might be worth taking a look at the statute and seeing if there might not be more opportunity for the town in that direction too. I mean, it's not a short-term fix by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't envision electricity prices coming down. So even if it was something that took a couple of 3 years to do, it might still be worth looking into.
We can definitely look into that. I do know some of the statutes have made it harder to connect larger solar arrays, and that's through some of the efforts of the utility providers. So we can definitely inquire. That's one of the solar array is one of the items that I have to learn more about in the agreement. I know we've got some time, so
Yeah.
it hasn't been the biggest priority, but we'll inquire, see if that's possible.
I mean, we're just fortunately, and it is just blind dumb luck, that we happen to be in a spot where the infrastructure for connection is better than it is in most other places. Now, I know we have the solar farm up behind us on Hillcrest Drive, which I don't believe is active yet, but I don't know that to be true. But if there's more capacity there and there's an opportunity for the town, we should at least look into it, I think. Mike?
So his question, he said, have there been any issue that occurred where not having more law enforcement was needed or not enough, or where would we need more? And so the Sheriff's Department can best speak to that maybe a little bit when they come on March 4th. But basically on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, when we don't have a contract deputy, there's only one deputy that patrols an area of what they call District 2, which is North Yarmouth, Pownell, Gray, and one other community, New Gloucester. And so all that causes is delays to potential response times. So if the person's in Pownell or North Yarmouth or on the far side of New Gloucester, and there's an incident that, say, happens here in the village, it takes quite a while for an officer to respond. I had one example that I experienced firsthand where there was a car accident behind me at the village intersection on West Gray Road, and I was there and exited my vehicle to help the people involved in the accident, and it did take quite a while, and that deputy had let me know he was coming from far away. So it does hinder that. So all it does is pretty much affect response times. One of the benefits of being partnered with the Sheriff's Department is they have a large contingent all over the county, and so if there's a major incident that were to happen here in Gray, they would respond from Raymond, Casco, Naples, all over to help with that major incident if they weren't tied up on other